Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to yet another tier list. Yes, this is my third tier list on this list. Of course, last time I've done Blue Sky Studios, and now I am doing Pixar. Pixar Animation Studios. Yes, this is easily one of my favorite movie studios I've ever seen. So, this is from Toy Story all the way to Luca. So yeah, we all know that there's gonna be two new Pixar movies that will be coming out next year in 2022. That being Turning Red and Lightyear. Turning Red will be coming in the spring of 2022 and Lightyear will come in the summer of 2022. So I generally cannot wait for those to come. But anyways, let's go ahead and start things off with Toy Story, which of course this is the first movie ever made by Pixar, released back in the 1990s. Of course, it was released in 1999, but I'm gonna put this one in amazing because it was one of those nostalgia movies back in the 1990s. Yeah, the 1990s was pretty good, to be honest. I know a lot of people like this one, so it's really amazing to hear that. Now we have A Bug's Life. So this is their second Pixar movie, released in 1998, and goes in the great category. This is looking a nice movie. It looks pretty amazing, to be honest, and I have to admit, this is a pretty fantastic movie I've ever seen. Then we have Toy Story 2, which is the sequel to Toy Story, and I'm gonna put this one in great. It looks pretty good. So now we have Monsters Inc. and oh boy, this is a movie that came out 20 years ago. This movie is now 20 years old and it came out in 2001, which is the same year with Shrek. So I'm gonna put this one in amazing because it was one of my favorite films from the 2000s. Now we have Finding Nemo. Of course, this is a movie that easily became one of the best films ever made. So it wasn't very good because it was one of the best movies ever made. Now we have The Incredibles. The Incredibles goes also very good as well. It's easily one of the best superhero movies ever made. So yeah, The Incredibles is such an amazing superhero movie. Next up is Cars. Oh boy, yeah. Cars is one of my all-time favorite Pixar movies. This is one of my favorite movies I ever seen when I was a kid. So I'm gonna put this one in amazing because it is one of my favorite Pixar movies ever made. It is one of my favorites. Along with might be the next second favorite Pixar movie, but I will not say until I say all of the Pixar movies. Now we have Ratatouille, another one of those films that were good. So I'll put this one in the very good category. Pretty nice. Looks an amazing movie because Ratatouille was one of the best films ever made. Then we have Wally. Oh, Wally is amazing. The animation looks amazing, and Wally is such an amazing protagonist, I have to admit. Wally's just an amazing character. It looks pretty amazing, like out of all the Pixar protagonists. Then we have Up, another one of these movies that were amazing. So I'm gonna put this one in amazing. Up is such an amazing movie. It almost made people cry, mostly because it is one of the best films of the 2000s. So now we're entering the 2010s, and let's start off with Toy Story 3. Oh boy, this has got to be one of the best films ever made. Toy Story 3 will easily make people cry. This is easily one of the best films ever made. So Toy Story 3 is easily an awesome movie made by Pixar. Of course, the scene when Woody said "so long, partner" is easily one of those sad scenes people ever made them cry. But yeah, nonetheless, it looks pretty fantastic. Next up is Cars 2. Oh, for some odd reason, why do people hate this movie? It's easily one of the worst movies ever made. Why Pixar? Why did you ever did this? Why? This is just the worst thing I ever seen. It's just a nice movie to me. So I'll put this one above Cars 1. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Cars 2 is an amazing movie. I know some of you people hated this movie because it's still one of the worst movies ever made. Now, please do not hate me for this. I know a lot of people hated this movie, but some Cars fans just loved it. So, again, please do not hate me. So then we have Brave. This one goes in mediocre. Yeah, people hated this because of, Merida. Yeah, one of those Disney princesses, along with Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, and many of those Disney princesses are among with. It doesn't make sense why. I don't get it why. But if it's just such a stupid movie, people hated it. Merida's just a bad character for some odd reason. So then we have Monsters University. It goes in the great category. Because, this movie's like a prequel. And yeah, Mike was the protagonist this time, just like Mater. Last time was Mater who became the protagonist in Cars 2. And that was like pretty amazing, to be honest. Ugh, get out of here, notifications. So yeah, this was actually the last film before they took a break in 2014. Which were also other studios that took a break, which were Illumination and Sony, except for Disney, DreamWorks, and Blue Sky. That didn't took a break. So yeah, next up is Inside Out. Another one of those awesome movies ever made. So it looks pretty good. It's such an amazing movie. Really, really amazing. Inside Out goes in the very good category, mostly because it has the best characters and animation on it. So then we have The Good Dinosaur. Now, probably the people think that this is another of those mediocre movies they ever seen. Yeah, The Good Dinosaur is just like Brave, just like Arlo was the protagonist, just like with Merida. But yeah, it looks like how bad it is. Like, how the heck is this bad about? So now we have Finding Dory. Oh boy, another movie that got a sequel. Yeah, how good. So Marlin was the protagonist in Finding Nemo, and now it's Dory, just like Mater and Mike Wazowski. Because Mater was the protagonist in Cars 2, and then Mike was the protagonist in Monsters University, and now Dory is the protagonist in her own movie, Finding Dory, which sounds pretty amazing. Up next, we have Cars 3. It goes in the great category. Some people think that Cars 3 was like really boring, but to me, pretty great. So it goes in the great category, to be honest. I know definitely people don't recommend this, but it looks pretty fantastic. Then we have Coco, another of those amazing movies Pixar has ever made. Yes, Coco is one of those films that people made them cry. Coco is such an amazing movie. I have to admit, one of the best Pixar movies ever made. Now we have The Incredibles 2, which is a sequel to The Incredibles. And yes, Mr. Incredible was a protagonist in the first movie, and now Elastigirl is a protagonist, which is just like the other three. Mater was the protagonist in Cars 2, then Mike was the protagonist in Monsters University, then Dory was the protagonist in Finding Dory, and now Elastigirl is a protagonist in the second in The Incredibles 2. Sounds really interesting that we have like 4 protagonists. Mater, Mike Wazowski, Dory, and Elastigirl. How pretty cool. Looks pretty amazing. Now we have Toy Story 4. Mostly a nice conclusion to the Toy Story series. Goes in the very good category, although a lot of people think that this might be really, really bad. So yeah, people prefer Toy Story 3 over the 4th movie because it looks pretty amazing. But yeah, it seems that people might be interested to talk about this movie for a lot. Then we have Onward. Oh boy, Onward is this is my second favorite Pixar movie along with Cars. It goes in the amazing category. I definitely love this movie. I saw this movie in the spring break in March 12, 2020 after I got off the trip from Washington and New York. Onward is such an amazing movie. I saw this in theaters before the pandemic started it. And oh boy, this was an amazing movie I ever loved. Onward will always be my favorite Pixar movie along with Cars. This is my favorite movie. So now we have Soul. It goes in the great category. No, think it goes in the very good. So yeah, Soul is a movie that came out the same year as Onward. Now, Soul was originally gonna be in theaters in June of 2020, but due to the pandemic that started back in March 16, they pushed it back to November of 2020. And then Soul was gonna be released in November, but that didn't even happen. Soul went to December 25th, 2020 on Christmas and only got on Disney Plus for some odd reason. What is the matter with these movies always getting delayed? And finally, last but not least, we have Luca. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. The newest Pixar movie. It goes in amazing. Oh boy, I have to admit. I saw this movie after the last day of school in the summer break, and it was an amazing movie. I loved Luca, Alberto, Julia, and even the cat. This movie is always the best. I'm hoping that this movie might get an Oscar for Best Animated Feature in 2022, because although Raya and the Last Dragon was good, not sure about Encanto, but Encanto's coming out this month in November. So yeah, that is it. This is my Pixar tier list. What do you think of this tier list? Do you like it or not? So yeah, that is gonna do it for this tier list. So I already done Illumination, then Blue Sky, and then Pixar. So what should I do next? Should I do Disney? Should I do Sony? Or should I do DreamWorks? Let me know in the comments. And who is your favorite Pixar movie? To me, it might be Cars and Onward. Because Cars and Onward are my all-time favorite Pixar movies. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching and see you guys next time. Peace.